What's going on, Ribbity Bosses? Jordan here. I got Katie in the background, and today we've got the lovely Miss Jenn Reed with us here. What's going on, Jen?
Hi, I am just excited to be here and to tell you about my experience in this industry.
I love it. So for those that don't know Jen, she is a salon owner. Can you tell us a little bit about where you're located and what services you provide, Jen?
Yeah, I am in a small town. We have about 8,000 residents here. We're about 15 to 20 minutes from larger towns such as Youngstown. That might be something that people are familiar with. We are about an hour and a half from Cleveland and an hour and a half from Pittsburgh. We're very rural and laid back, I think. So we have the Ohio River behind us, about 30 minutes. So there's a lot of industry in this area. In my salon, I feel is right in the middle of all of that. So our salon specializes in hair services, but we do have a nail tech, and we do makeup artistry. In fact, today I just got my makeup artistry license. I'm so excited.
All right.
So I'll be able to start traveling. But anyway, yeah, so we do a lot of hair services from color correction, gray transitioning, hair enhancement services, such as extensions, different things like that. And I am on my 24th anniversary this month of owning my
All
business.
right.
Yeah.
24 years in business. So
Yeah.
that's a long time. I'm excited to hear what your journey has looked like over those past 24 years, and also how recently you've been able to start hitting some record months with the business. You said your highest month, you've been doing over $30,000 a month consistently with the salon, which is awesome.
Yeah,
Um,
we started doing that actually in the middle of last year.
I
So
love
it's
it.
a big goal for me.
I love it. And what's been your highest number to date?
We almost did like 31,000 as a salon.
I love it. And
Yeah.
how big's your team and staff, by the way?
I have one manager, front desk support, and then we have five hairdressers and one nail tech, and they will work anywhere between 3 and 4 days a week. Our nail tech just works two. So we're not open all the time, but that was one of the things that I was hoping that we could expand the salon with team members. So,
I love it. Well, one of our big points today is talking about what we call your tiny but mighty team over there, and how you guys have been able to keep things like super lean, super tight, super profitable, and hit those, good record months recently here. $30,000 a month or more is awesome. I think a lot of people in the industry kind of get a misunderstanding or misconception about, it's not how much you make in business, it's how much you keep, right? And a
it
lot
is.
of people, will look at like $30,000 a month, and either one, they don't see how that's achievable with a solo
Mhm.
professional or with a small team, which is what you've done.
Yeah.
Or they say they'll see that they've got this big hairy mess of a team and staff, and like think that those numbers aren't that, maybe impressive or big. But
Mhm.
a lot of the bigger teams and staffs I've found, are doing maybe bigger revenue numbers, but they're not taking as much of that home, right?
Right.
And
And
that's what I'm excited to talk about
I
today.
experienced that myself. You
Yeah.
know, I've no, basically had a team of 10 for a number of years. I mean, over a decade.
Hmm.
I have that probably 2 decades. And I was that person that had sales coming in, um and I wasn't taking anything home. Like I literally had to go through a period of probably about 8 years of not even taking a paycheck home,
Hmm.
which I can tell you why in a little bit. But um, I think that it's really important to understand your numbers and to do that and get help you need right away.
100%. Well, I'm excited to fire things up. It looks like we're live right now in the RBB community. What's going on, everybody? When you guys are here, type hashtag live or hashtag replay, depending on when you're tuning in right now. We are going to be engaging with you guys. I can see all your comments. If you guys have questions that you want to ask Jenn about her journey as well, I think Katie is working on pulling together all the questions we may have received inside the community kind of leading up to today. But here's what we're going to be covering today. We've got the amazing Jenn Reed. I absolutely love Jenn. She's been with us now for, when did we first meet, Jenn?
It was in May of 22.
May of 2022, and here we are on 2024. So we're coming up on almost our 2-year anniversary coming up here in just a few months. And throughout that time together, I've seen Jenn show up every single week consistently and predictably, like working on her business, not just in it, and also working on kind of not just growing and building the business and getting more clients, making your clients worth more, but you've also been working towards, an exit of the salon here, like it's happening right now. So one of the exciting things I'm excited to talk about is like how that process is going. You're literally working on selling the salon. Is that correct?
Correct.
So how many of you guys here in the
finished?
I love it. How many guys here in the salon have ever thought about, or sorry, in the group have ever thought about maybe selling your business or wanting to create an exit plan for your business or really looking to achieve real time and financial freedom in the long run? Let me know if that's you. Definitely type freedom in the chat if you're here. We've got a ton of stuff we're going to be giving away for everyone who comments here with us here. But I would love to hear, that's a lot of what I want to focus on today. I think a lot of people never really think about the long term. They're just focused on paying this month's rent, getting, living paycheck to paycheck. How am I going to make it through to the next month? Or maybe I get a little bit ahead and then I cool off the brakes, but then the next month I'm right back to survival mode again, which is what we talked about last week. I think it's really important. I'm sure you can, piggyback off this as well, Jenn. Like, it's really important to focus on what the end goal really is, or what the vision is of where I want to go in the next, not just tomorrow or this week or this month or even this year. Where do I want to see myself in the next 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, right? And working towards that starting today, right? So we could dive into all that, but let me do a good formal intro for you, for everyone who's watching here today. So today we're going to be talking with Jenn. She's a salon owner who is currently doing $30,000 a month consistently. She's got a tiny but mighty team and staff. With, you said, just one hairstylist and one nail tech?
No, I have one nail tech. She works 4 days. And then I have 5 hairstylists. 5. And some of them work 3, some of them work 4 days. And that's pretty much it.
Love it. So got a tight and lean team and staff over there. Today we're going to be talking about kind of what your journey looked like, how you started the business, how you've grown the business. After being in business for over 24 years, I'm sure there's a lot of wealth of knowledge you can share with us here today. And also I'm excited to talk about like what marketing and advertising strategies have you used to build, a good, strong local presence, a local following, and build not just your clientele, but your team's clientele. How many guys here in the comments are looking to get clients? Type that in the chat if you're looking to get clients. But I would also love to hear, if you have a team and staff, how many guys are looking to fill their books as well, with not just everyday clients, but your dream clients? Let me know if that's you down below. You can smash some hearts, type yes in the chat if that's you. We're going to be talking about that. Also, one thing I wanted to touch on today is the one strategy that you've used consistently to start to build kind of almost that local online celebrity presence in your area.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, through and we'll dive into it. That's a little cliffhanger for everyone. But how you've been able to get people like noticing you, recognizing you online, referring people to you, and getting, really a magnetic personality developed in your community. And ultimately the action plan that you're kind of utilizing right now to get more clients, get the clients you have paying you more money, getting them coming back more often, but also how you're working right now to remove yourself from the salon and replace your income beyond the chair in this year, right? That's the real goal for you. So who's excited to hear what Jenn's got to share with us today? Give us some hearts. Type hashtag Jenn down below in the chat. At the end of today, I'm going to talk with Jenn after the fact. Today, we're going to kind of put maybe together a little cheat sheet or cliff notes of everything that we talked about. Plus, for some of these interviews, we'll also do like a more formal behind the scenes masterclass or deep dive as well. But I'm going to shut up for a minute and let you talk, Jenn. Jenn,
Okay.
for everyone who's watching now, we've got plenty of people watching here on the live. Let us know a little bit about who you are, what you do,
Okay.
and why you're here today.
Well, 24 years ago, I had no idea or intention of having a salon. However, I did want to have a small business that I could be working at have flexibility. So I had two young children and I really wanted to just work from home. So the idea was that I would utilize the internet and create a website and try to focus on a product that I felt, very passionate about. Um, I was intending to go to cause school, but my website took off really well. So the first 10 years of my business was really a mail order business. I sold all natural cosmetics, skincare, nail care, and I was all around the beauty industry. Within 5 years, people started coming to my house, which I worked in my pajamas, so it wasn't going to work out. So I said, well, I better go into town and maybe get a warehouse. And after about a year, people started like bringing their kids up with strollers up on a second, through stairwells. And I'm like, this isn't going to work either. So I brought it back. I brought it down a year after that so that people could walk in. That was my first experience of having a retail shop. And I remember during that time, that year, people coming in and they didn't understand what holistic beauty was. I mean, that was all it was about. And they told me
Mhm.
to my face, I'm not going to survive. I'm going to be done. This town isn't going to take me. I'm to this, I'm to that. So, so basically by 2007, I had expanded too much and I needed a bigger space. And I went into the space that I currently have now. And it's a very large space for me. It's about 4,000 or 5,000, 4,000 square foot. At that point, all I'm doing is working a website. I've employed 10 people. I am trying to learn about business because I did not go to college. I
Mm,
graduated from a career center and I had a business sense and I understood that I needed to be in a niche people were going to want that would grow. And I and
right.
I really feel like I hit that. But during that time, I'm the only engine. It was my
Mm,
content. It's only me. Everyone I employed, I'm going to tell you, I'm not going to be insensitive about this, but you're either an expense or you're bringing in revenue. And I learned that if I can have more than myself bringing in revenue, then the business is just about me. So yeah,
right.
we're just slapping on labels. I know I see a lot in the community. They're doing the things that I did. I see chemo, slapping her labels on, pouring her product.
Hmm.
I did the same thing. And I still have some of those items. However, I I started seeing that I needed to do more with the space that I possessed. Every
Mm,
square foot needed to bring in revenue. And that's when some people started talking about, you should open a salon. And so basically about 2009, I had hired a woman and she was just getting her license. And I really loved her and I thought, maybe we could just build a little box, and kind of have a dry bar. But that it ended up just being like it took over half of our building because we were like, let's just go full turkey into it. Let's just if we're gonna do it, let's do it right. So in 2011, we took that business to a fuller salon. And by 2000, let me see, 2012, I started to hire more service providers. So I'm basically operating a boutique, a mail order business, and a salon all at the same time. Um, One of the things that had occurred though was in 2008, 2009, there was an economy shift. It caught me off
Yeah.
so guard that I ended up being $50,000 in debt. I didn't know what to do. And that's why I was like, I was constantly trying to figure out, like, what can I do to reinvent myself in order to get myself out of this. And I think a lot of business owners can, I guess, relate to that. I mean, it could be a lot more for some, maybe less for others, but during the stages of creating a business, I found that I needed to kind of be like a river, and or a raft on that river, but I needed to get the oars, in
Yeah.
control. And I found that $50,000 in debt, now I wasn't helping my family. Now
Mm.
I was a detriment to my family in my head. And so I reached out to my first educators, which were the Small Business Association. They were from the Youngstown area, and they did help me to understand my numbers a bit better. The only problem is they didn't understand my industry,
Okay.
and I felt that that was a handicap. But I still followed through. I had my regular meetings. I learned what a budget was. I just didn't know a budget for a salon,
Hmm.
and I didn't know how to price for a salon.
Well, they
You
don't teach you any of that, right? Like
no,
in school or anything,
no.
right?
In fact, I was dumbfounded when I thought the stylist, I'm not a hairdresser. I did not go to class. So I thought that and when they came out and they were a manager at the time, I thought that meant that they took business classes.
Yeah.
I had no idea that it just meant they could work alone. Like anybody could work alone. But I asked them about the prices for haircuts and stuff, and they basically were like, let's call the salons next door. And
Oh
and
no.
they yeah. Oh my gosh. $25 haircuts?
Yeah.
That so although I was getting the help from the SBA, and I did manage to create a budget that allowed me to basically cut half of that debt down. I did that probably, I was halfway down by 2015, 2016. I cleared 25,000, but that's because I stopped paying myself.
Yeah.
So I no longer could contribute to my family and our bills. I was going to work every single day, knowing that I was there just to pay off debt, and that was a really hard thing for me. I felt like a
Yeah.
failure. I didn't know how I was going to get out of this. Um, I didn't really see any value in myself as far as a business owner. Um, I had people that were relying on me, and I wasn't sure, like they got paid, but I was going there and I'm doing everything a business owner should do, including getting the crap, because there's crap. And I was getting that, and I'm not taking money home.
Hmm.
And so it was a hard $25,000 for me. So one of my friends she was in banking, and she finally told me about 2000, I think it was around 2016, that, or 2017, that I should go for a loan. And I did get an SBA loan. I was absolutely shocked that a bank would come into my business, see my business as it is, and give me money. But it was really the first way for me to get control of the second half of that debt.
Hmm.
And I started to put so much energy in the salon that my online sales started to suffer, and my hiring had to change because now I was trying to hire service providers. Um, so it was really hard for me, but I did start to take a minimal amount of money each week. So I started to feel better about that.
What
And
year was this?
that was around 2016 to 2017. I
Okay.
started taking a little bit of money. That's when I got my SBA loan. You know, it wasn't a starter business, so I had a
Mhm.
5-year loan. And like I said, I just remember the day that the bank came in to like interview me, and they said to me like that I had value, and I just wanted to cry because I had just been through so much. All I wanted to do was just provide for my family. You know, I wanted to do something I loved. And at that point, um, you know, I couldn't rely on my parents. I couldn't rely on my husband at the time. Like this was about me. And so getting that loan put me in a different head spot. Um, by 2018, I realized that there were industry leaders who could help me. So by the end of 2018, I did start utilizing one, and I was amazed at the processes that I never had and how I could even make it that far in business. And so I started working on my SOP, understanding systems, understanding real budgets for salons, understanding that I'm in control of pricing and I'm
Mm.
not going to ask my stylist anymore. So they started having a shift with me. They were shocked at my I guess confidence that they hadn't really seen a lot before.
Hmm.
I stopped asking them all the time for what do you think of this? What do you think of that? And they had to adjust. And some of them did not work out in the long run after that. But it was for the best because I needed to have staff who were going to respect me and who were going to understand that even though I wasn't a stylist, that I had been behind the chair and gone through so much and I had paid my dues.
Yeah.
And it was I deserved to have that respect. And I also deserve to have that ear, you know, like if I tell them this is the way I'm gonna do that, that obviously like people are going to question you.
Hmm.
But um they have to understand you're the one that has the skin in the game. Your stylist you hire, they get their paychecks, but they have no skin in the game. They can switch up and go to another salon. They don't care about contracts, you know.
Right.
Thankfully, I never had a walkout, never, not one time. Um, my longest employees have stayed with me more than 15 plus years.
That's incredible.
You don't get that. You don't
That's
get
a
that.
family member right there.
Yeah, they all are. So, so basically during this time, you know, I'm still struggling, but I'm seeing that I'm getting less and less, and my online company was actually pulling me down. So by 22, I literally stopped that completely. Um, and coincidentally, at the end of 21, with all the budgets and all the work and sweat and tears, um, and anxious nights, I went into the bank with my final payment and I became debt free. So
Ring the bell for Jen.
I need cowbells. I need the cowbells.
Boom, 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 boom. That is incredible. But Jen, first off, I want to acknowledge and encourage like that was amazing. Like what you just shared. There's so much to unpack there that I think so many people struggle with. And
Yeah.
I want to thank you for opening up because that even moves me. I get little goosebumps just thinking about like what you've been able to accomplish and how so many people struggle with the same issues. And I feel like it's, it's
Yeah,
hard to find people who understand. I think people who care, and also kind of a light at the end of the tunnel sometimes when you're in those types of situations. And
it
I
is.
think what you just shared, for everyone who may be watching, like, I hope that gives everyone here inspiration, motivation, that like you can do this. And like, if you can do it, Jenn, so can everyone else, right? And that's incredible. So if you guys want to get to a place in your life for your business where, how many of you guys have ever struggled with, like, you know, you get into business in the first place, you're super excited, you're super optimistic, like you think this is going to be the best thing ever. I'm being my own business owner, my own boss, work my own hours, my own schedule. Like, this is the best thing ever. But then somewhere down the line, you're not really sure where it happens. You wake up and it's been 6 months, 12 months, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years,
Mhm.
in your case, 10 years of feeling like maybe not achieving the results that you would have wanted in the timeline that you maybe would have hoped.
Yeah.
And as you just mentioned, I don't think it's not your fault if you struggle with those things. No one teaches you how to run a business, how to
Mhm.
manage your finances, how to make smart decisions on how the business can grow and actually achieve profit and freedom for the business owner, which
Yeah.
is the main goal, right?
Yep.
But I encourage everyone right now, let's type in the chat debt free. If you want to become debt free here in maybe 2024 or the next 1, 2, 3 years, however long you feel like that's going to take for you, type debt free in the chat, because Jenn just shared you were $50,000 in debt at one point,
Yeah.
and that wasn't
Yeah.
that long ago, right?
No. Yeah, I finished it in 20 at the end of 21. And that was so big because, here I'm just like sobbing in my car. We're still around COVID, got a mask on.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, in this time period that is so bad, here is something that, happened. And I really, like I had to close my salon too. But if I hadn't had those systems in place and understanding budgets and really watching it, my bookkeeper was off site. So there's always a lag in getting my real numbers from her, as when it comes to like your expenses and stuff. I can always grab that full number of what I brought in, but those expenses, you know, I have to sometimes wait for her to get them in. So I advise you not to do that. Take a QuickBooks course.
QuickBooks.
I had a different business when she started, and basically throughout the whole process, it became important for me to keep simplifying and simplifying. Like literally I had $24,000 of inventory on my wall that I sold to people.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to reduce that because that's not what a salon has most of the time.
Right.
And it was a big change, and it took a lot of effort for me to like try to get those items sold, to not lose that revenue, to shrink and to refine my systems. Um, the people that I had hired didn't understand earlier, they didn't understand what a salon does either. So I think it was frustrating for them too. And if any of them are here listening, I have to say I'm so sorry that, I brought that stress to them because I was trying to figure out even how to run a front desk.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, in 22, I started to only be a salon. I had no more revenue coming in online. And these numbers are the numbers that I'm getting from just being a salon. And that was it impacted my feelings about myself. And the one thing that I did struggle with from the other company that was helping me in the salon industry, they couldn't figure out how to really give me good advice on marketing. And at
Mm-hmm.
that point, I had to let them go because I was using systems very well, but I really had to look at how am I going to get through the next stages of my business because I really didn't know if I was going to be selling. I always had a desire to have a business that you always have to have an exit. My team knew they were never going to take it on.
Right.
So either you let it go or sell everything down, liquidate, or you sell it to someone. Couldn't sell it with debt. I couldn't sell it with chaos. So
Yeah.
I needed to have those systems down pat. And I knew by the time 22 came, that I now was in a position that I could, but I needed the sales.
Hmm.
And I have half of my staff are all new at that point, and I felt like I had a breath of fresh air, I reset with new staff, with new goals and a new outlook. So basically did a lot of research on what I needed to do in order to sell a salon. And I found out that it is very difficult. One business broker said to me, unless my salon was doing 500,000 or up to 1 million in sales a year, don't even bother. And I was in a salon where I had people sharing the same stations. I had a business that was fitting my needs, and I didn't want to have that many service providers because that was complicated, and I needed to not have complication. So I needed my girls to do the best they can, but we were struggling.
Yeah.
That's when I had been looking at your company for about a year, and about in 2021, I remember going to watching one of your lives, and Katie was doing it, and it had to do with 3 different things that you had to know about content. One was make sure you have still pictures of you doing the work on somebody. One is like a still picture of yourself in it more. And then the third was video. So I created this little document with your information that I had took notes on, and I passed it out and started doing education with your concept in mind of what I could figure out. And so when I finally decided to call, I was really happy to hear Katie. So
Yes.
she gave me, the information, but I was ready. So if there's somebody on this group that has just been watching, it is okay. I mean, you have to look and you have to see your consistency. It's like I was interviewing you guys.
Right. You got to make sure you
Because
align yourself with the right people, right?
you do. And I just knew that you were doing effective work. In fact, I had built my business on Facebook, and people around me would say, I even go to school, the hair shows, and they would have a class on business, and it was about the social media, and they would just put Facebook down, and it was just, I felt embarrassed for them because they were showing me things like, if you're going to make a business and you're going to get people's attention, you pretty much have to look like an idiot and do crazy things. And don't worry about Facebook because that's old. You got to do it on Instagram because that's new. That's where all the millennials are and all the whatever.
Right.
I don't even know what I am. I'm 55 almost. So I just say like that was not the way I wanted to do my marketing. And I saw people coming in from what I did for years. But I just didn't have that extra stuff I needed. And
Hmm.
that's where you guys came in, and that's when things changed.
That's
In fact,
incredible.
my staff thought I was a brat because I was always, if you don't give it away, you can't keep it, like you have to use it or you lose it. So I was telling them all the time, and they were like, when do you think this is going to be done? This RBB stuff. And I'm like, as long as I own this salon, oh baby, you're going to have to do it.
I
you
love
know.
it.
So
Everyone drop use it or lose it down below in the chat, right? You got to inspect what you expect out of your team. And honestly, like if you're going to get help from anyone, like in your business, which let's all be honest, like if we all knew how to, make an extra 10, 25, 50, $100,000 a month, we'd probably be doing it, right? And like we have to kind of look, like you just said, Jen, you nailed it on the head, like where I see most people struggle. And I think so many people can more than likely relate to your story and your journey is like, most of us didn't go to college or get a fancy degree on marketing or business education or have any experience running a business that has a chance to achieve the goals that we want to achieve, right? Um, and we have to kind of figure that out for ourselves. Me and Katie call it the sell your soul model is kind of what most salon and spa owners struggle with, where they go to school, they get an education or a certification or a piece of paper that says like, hey, you can, perform services now. You can start your business and time to become your own boss and be successful. But then you kind of just get thrown to the wolves and, hope and pray that you're going to be able to get the clients or manage the budgets or the balance sheets or the profit and loss. And like, there's nowhere, to get that type of knowledge or education unless you, find people to surround yourself with that know what they're doing, have had the experience, have had already gone through the failures. And the only way you're going to figure out a lot of these things, which step one that you mentioned is like, you got to get yourself in the right mentality first. You got to take full responsibility for your current situation. You got to be ready and willing to receive new information, new advice, and filter out the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? Which it sounds like you've had a lot of people who have given advice that maybe you knew deep down in your heart was either not the right advice or two, just like wasn't aligned with your values, right?
And I think you have to be ready to like, I just remember when I had help with my educators prior to you, that they gave me advice about specific individuals in my salon and that maybe I should adjust those positions, and I wasn't ready for that because I had made an emotional connection with people. And a lot of them were my friends that worked for me. And so if I would say anything, let your friends be your friends. They can support you, come to your salon, but it's really difficult to have friends work for you because they may not work the way that someone else would work. So I'm a personality that if I'm going to work for somebody, I'm going to come in like showing up sharp, as you say. And it doesn't matter. I'll show up sharp from the day I begin to the day I'm done.
Show up sharp. Drop that in the chat. Show up sharp.
Yeah, but not everybody has that mentality. And so I did have to I did have to look at those I hired more in detail to align myself with individuals that I felt like I can work with and who would do what I needed. And if I had to, I would be able to say, this arrangement isn't working for me. And so I wish you well. Like, you know, I you just can't afford it. You can't afford to wait. When you know something isn't right, you need to act. And we all think about, well, if we just give that person another week or another 90 days. And I found out that the more I got to this point right now, the less time it took me to decide that that person had to go.
Yeah.
You know, and culture is essential. Anyone who's on your team that can be somebody that um, empties you, instead of filling you, that's going to be harder for you to work effectively and make the most money, because they're never going to work the way that you need them to.
Right.
So, so yeah, I learned about HR. I learned a lot. There's a lot of hats, whether you have one employee or you have 10, you know, um, it's the process of having an educator. They're there to tell you what you need to hear, but
Right.
obviously it's your road, your journey. So even if they tell you, um, I appreciate that my educators didn't get frustrated with me.
Hmm.
They gave me what I needed, what I could absorb, and kind of like assimilate. So, um,
I love it.
yeah.
Well, I am getting a ton of value just listening in to your story right now. I've got a ton of notes. I would highly encourage anyone who's listening right now, on the live or on the replay, like, you rewind a lot of watch this interview twice. Let's just say that, because Jenn, just like, even if you guys don't even realize it, she just dropped so much knowledge and experience on you guys that could save you years of wasted time,
Yeah.
right? By modeling what works, taking full responsibility, showing up sharp for yourself, your family, and your future, and committing to making a change, and saying yes to the right people who you surround yourself with and no to the wrong people, right? And I think that's one big thing that I think we all struggle with, especially in the self-care industry, is like, we are service providers, we are givers, right? Like, that's what mainly our expertise and passion is to serve others. But a lot of the time, what can get lost in the sauce throughout the journey is like, we forget to serve and give back to ourselves and do the right things for us at the end of the
Right.
day, right? So this is awesome so far. Is it okay if I kind of recap up to where we're at?
Sure.
Let's do that real quick. When you guys are here, let us know who you are, what you do, where you're tuning in from. Again, type hashtag live or hashtag replay if you're here. If you want to get access to the interview replay, the bonuses, potentially me and Jenn will put together a masterclass after this. If you're cool with it, Jenn, we can maybe go a little bit step deeper, do some behind the scenes stuff
Mhm.
afterwards as well. Kind of diving into the trenches, pulling back the curtain on her business, and talking about how you've been able to, into the recap, you started the business in what year specifically? It was 2000,
2001. 2001.
2001.
Yeah.
So you've been in the game a long time.
Yeah. I
Uh,
had to learn how to create a website. So just so you know, like I didn't go to school for technology. Um, and I was going to just be a secretary.
right.
So an executive secretary, but
Ooh,
the technology wasn't one of those things. So I had to learn how to make a website, and so I understand technology can be a frightful thing, but we had to get over that because your clients they have umbilical cords that are called USB cords,
yeah.
and there hasn't had been a baby born without it since I think the two like I don't know 1990. I don't know. Well, I'm not me, but anyway, I'm just saying, like, I did have to learn how to do those things, and I learned. I made flubs. I copied what worked, and I'm going to say that's a big hint for people, that they need to copy what works, because companies like yourself have poured so much money into things. You've done all that research. Why should you reinvent it when I can copy what works? So, yeah.
I love it. So that's awesome. I just dropped that in the chat as well. Copy what works, or as we always say, model what works, right? I think there's a quote from Napoleon Hill, Think or Grow Rich, or Think and Grow Rich, where he talks about, if you want to become a millionaire, find a millionaire who has achieved the same
Mhm.
results or similar results that you're looking to accomplish, and copy or
Mhm.
model exactly what they do. Tony
Mhm.
Robbins also talks about all the time. If you want to achieve success, all you have to do is model what works from those who have already succeeded, if you want to get
Mhm.
same or similar results. And if you do that strategically, and focus on who or what or where you're getting your advice from, and making sure that it's the right people you surround yourself with, the right transformation you're looking to accomplish, people have actually done it, people with experience. Like, that's how you can shave off years of wasted time throwing crap at the wall, hoping it sticks, just trying to figure it out, which is all what we're all trying to do on an everyday basis. Is we are all just trying to figure it out, right?
Yeah.
Like we didn't go to school for this. No one's, most of us don't have family members or friends or people in our life that are, have made, six figures or seven figures or have like, knowledge or expertise to guide us. And so we're all we've got, right? And the only way to get the information that we need, we've got to find the right people to model, to copy, to educate us so that we can get the knowledge we need to become that best version of ourselves, right? So I love it. Let me recap a little bit for everyone who is tuning in. Again, let us know who you are, what you do, where you're tuning in from down in the comments. Jenn and myself, and definitely Katie as well, we'll be going back to the comments to make sure we engage with all you guys who are commenting. I see Kelly's here, Stephanie's here, Shervon is here, Melody's here, Desi's here. You're getting a lot of chatter in the comments.
Hi
Jen.
guys.
I'm excited to answer your guys' questions as well. Katie's been queuing up all the questions you guys have been dropping in the chat for us to answer here shortly. If you do have a question for Jenn or myself or Katie, drop that in the chat. We'll answer it here on the live. But 2001, you started the business, and in 2008, you hit the big financial downturn that everyone hit during that time period. If we were out in business in that time period, with the economic collapse, it definitely affected my family, and it's been a huge thing that without the right preparation can really hurt some people. If something like that happens or is happening, like we can't just sit around and let it happen. We've got to take full responsibility and take massive action to move through that. COVID was another example, right? One thing we always say is be fearful when others are greedy, and greedy when others are fearful. When things like this happen in our lives or the market or the economy, we can't just sit back and take the beating. We've got to show up more so than we've ever showed up, and really do everything we can to make sure that we take advantage of those opportunities to get ahead, right? And so that happened in 2008. You ended up moving into a new location and space around that time period. And this is around the time you said you were struggling with about $50,000 in debt accumulated from the business. And that was a really rough time for you, you mentioned. You said it really affected your confidence, the way that you felt like you could value yourself. And it felt like you were maybe, pushing and spinning those wheels, but not really, seeing much progress during that time. Is that accurate?
Right.
What do you feel like before you're able, because that was in around 2008 that you kind of hit that time period, but you said within a matter of a few years or so, you started to kind of chip away and start to pay that down and start to see some progress.
Well, before I got there, I decided that in 2009 I would align myself with a large company that sold cosmetics. So I actually aligned myself with Bare Minerals and became one of the only store locations at that time between Cleveland and Pittsburgh. So it really did help restore some of those sales that I was losing online, and kind of get myself focused more as a boutique. But by 2014, that was the year that I met my first SBA educator. And it was a drastic measure. They looked at my business model, and the college here in Youngstown used it to help give me an idea of what I should do for my business. And it was very helpful, eye-opening. And it really gave me a sense of like that I need to, I guess, make sure that I'm aligned with the branding I want. Like, because I was all over the place, and they kind of helped me with that. But then they also set me up with trying to understand timing and like paying your, labor costs. And, if you're going to charge a service, you need to understand all your product costs. And that was the first time, like, I really was given that kind of information. And those things did help me trying to start cutting costs wherever I could. if this was going to work or not work, and being able to be okay with that. Um, so yeah, that started in 2014. So yeah, I had $50,000 of debt in 2014.
And 10 years later, we're debt free.
Yeah. Yeah, by
That's
20, no,
awesome.
by 22 or 21.
Much
Yeah.
sooner, yeah. Like,
Yeah.
but 2014, I can't believe that's been 10 years now, right? That's crazy.
Yes. Yeah, it took me
2020
five
or
years.
2024 now.
Yeah, it took me 5 years to get out of the debt the 20, half of it. Yeah. And so if you haven't utilized your small business association, it is a must. One of the things that the program did for me, and this is like a hot tip, and I hope that you all really like write this down.
Ooh, hot tip.
But
Type hot tip if you want the hot tip.
okay. But they told me about grants, and they put me around individuals and organizations that basically would provide employees that the state would pay. So the girl that I had hired, that ended up helping me start the salon, she was one of them. She came to me under this grant. She was 100% paid by the state through the grant. Um, and that's how I ended up getting the salon, starting the salon. She worked for me for 10 years. But she started free. So labor was a huge thing for me. And I needed the office help. I needed phone help. I needed
Mm.
somebody to help clean. You know what I'm saying? Like I needed things printed, invoices made. Um, so she came and she was free. And she was free for a year. So I used that program until it was done. I also had worked with a company that was a youth program that they got me in touch with. And I think it was like the Mahoning County Youth something. And so they would bring individuals to my salon. They would be younger, anywhere between the ages of 16 to 22. Many times they were individuals that either had a baby, in school and had to quit school, or they just had basically low income and they could have been homeless. And we use the opportunity to bolster them, to help nurture as we taught them skills. And I'm very, very proud to have been a part of that. That is
I love it.
when I really started to understand the need to serve others. So, and so I have had up till 2021, I had help in doing that. So,
It's amazing.
these again, the state pays for. I also went to the workers job and family services. They told me to get in touch with them, and there is a workers cash program in most states. And they would assign me, instead of having somebody go to, let's say, a state building or the park to pick up trash, they would send me specific women who either had been in cosmetology and didn't go forward, or individuals who just wanted to, work and get themselves out of those programs, and they would help. So I utilized them for over a decade.
That's
So
amazing.
yeah.
Like, I think that's something that a lot of people completely overlook is like finding access to capital and resources that can help you like get into a better state, even just a better mindset overall, so you can perform, more present and more confidently. Like, a lot of us have the opportunity to get funding, get loans, get grants, for our business that can help us get ahead. However, what I do want to talk about today too is I see a lot of people maybe who do take advantage of that, not put that resource into the right areas, and
Yeah.
there's assets and liabilities, which is something you just kind of mentioned, right? In
Yeah.
which, step one in business is figure out how to operate the tightest and the leanest and with the least expense while you're
Mhm.
working on growing, your revenue, your clientele, and like getting
Mhm.
cash flow under control. But also, making investments in yourself and your family and your future and your business that can help you also be able to get the knowledge, education, the resources that you need to get ahead as well, while, truly understanding getting connected in your area with people who can support you with those things is a great way to also get those open network connections kind of happening, so that, you're constantly being connected with other like-minded individuals or people that, you can support or help, or who can support and help you. Right.
Yeah. It definitely allowed me to use them depending on their skill level to help me do videos. Like I had a YouTube video that I wanted to just constantly move. One of these young girls that came in, she created some of the content for me. So my customers could walk in and they would see a nonstop video of all of our hair and nail services being done. And, I guess it's just like things that you would love to have, but didn't have the time to do. Um, and some of them took the place of where a paid employee would have been. And that helped me to reduce my debt too. And basically it's like at the same time, my local organizations were connecting to me as a source where we nurtured and we helped support, you know. So was it frustrating at times? Sometimes we didn't get the right aligned person, but um, we I can't say enough for like when you're in that position and you're in every dime matters, and you want your business to succeed, you've got to step up and you've got to say, I've got to look beyond the square box I've put myself in, and be flexible. You're a raft, on the river. Like it's got to take you somewhere, but you got to get the oars. You got to make sure. So keeping control that way helped me to get through some of the emotional weight that I had gone through. I think it was part of me healing myself, trying to find worth again in me.
Yeah. Well, I think everyone can agree, you are worth more than I think even you give yourself credit for. And you've been able to accomplish so much in such a short period of time. And like, while it may not feel that way, like, it doesn't matter when it happens, but the destination that you've set out for yourself to achieve freedom, achieve that exit plan, like move on. The biggest thing I noticed from you, Jenn, is you're so focused on growing yourself, right? And one thing we often say is like, there really is no business problems. There's only personal problems that show up in our business, right? And in order for our business to grow, we need to like invest the time, the energy, the resources, and just the want, the fire, the desire in ourselves for the business to grow. And I've seen like, that seems to be a pattern you keep, mentioning subtly throughout your journey, is like just really understanding the gaps or where the challenges may be. And a lot of that rooting with maybe self-worth or valuing yourself, and working on growing yourself first, and then opportunities coming on the back half of that, which I think is awesome. So guys, if you guys are getting some awesome nuggets here from Jenn, type gold nugget down below in the chat if you got some gold nuggets so far. Also smash that heart button in the chat right now to give Jenn some love. We're about to transition, if it's cool with you, Jenn. I'll do a final recap of catching us up where we're at now. And then I'd love for you if you could break down for us as we work to transition to Q&A and questions that have come through the chat as well. What kind of maybe was the plan or the action steps that you've kind of taken to start getting that marketing and advertising kind of game plan under control, working on building your clientele, building your team's clientele, attracting your dream clients, and what you've kind of done in your local community, as we call like the kind of local celebrity presence you've kind of been working on creating for yourself. And then we'll go from there. So guys, let us know down below in the chat if you have any questions that you want us to answer with Jenn here. We're about to cover a lot of those. I've already got a good handful, so we'll hit those here in just a moment. But if you guys just hopped on the stream, what's up, guys? Jenn just kind of shared her story from 2001 to 2014, kind of hitting a middle of the road, and now moving into 2020 to 2024, drastic transformation, going from $50,000 in debt and being able to pay half of that off by 2014, and then 2022 becoming 100% debt free. Did I get the timeline right?
It's good.
Somewhere in that pocket. Okay, somewhere in that
It's
pocket.
good.
Debt free. If you guys are looking to become debt free this year or in following years, type debt free down below in the chat. The biggest things that I kind of pulled from what you just mentioned, I'm taking a ton of notes here, trying to keep up with all the bombs Jen's dropping here. Valuing yourself and building your own self-confidence was huge for you, right? Something that you noticed was a gap and something that you knew you needed to work on. And through a combination of investing in yourself, really, educating yourself, surrounding yourself with the right people, I've slowly been able to really build that self-confidence and self-worth to show up. Like, look at you right now. You're in front of, a huge audience of people and serving people on a higher scale. Maybe back 10, 20 years ago, that would have maybe been a little nerve wracking. Maybe it still is, but you're living the dream, moving towards your exit plan, working towards freedom and making a huge impact in the process. And, you mentioned that really educating yourself on the kind of the back end side of the business was huge for you. We're learning about how to create systems and SOPs and process for you, your team, your staff. And also, not using, I'm not tech savvy as an excuse, but using it as an opportunity to develop those skills is something that really you put a lot of time, energy, and effort into. Everyone type tech savvy down below in the chat if you've ever had the feelings or thoughts or limiting beliefs that, oh, I'm just not tech savvy, so it's going to be challenging for me to do this. Or I'm not tech savvy, I don't know if I can figure this out. And I would say one of the number one things I hear the most often in the salon spa community, the self-care industry as a whole, is a lot of people using that rather than an opportunity to grow and improve and realize that, hey, that's just something I need to work on, rather than use it as an excuse for why I can't be successful or why I can't figure this out. Because the reality is, especially in today's day and age in society and marketplace, which I know for a fact you have really gone all in on in your business, Jenn, is like all the access and information is like right out there at all of our fingertips right now. And the biggest challenge most of us face is actually tapping into those resources or actually taking action on what's available. And so I'm hoping we can kind of dive a little bit deeper here as well. And again, if you guys are getting value from this, type hashtag Jenn down below in the chat, because we are going to potentially be planning like a behind the scenes kind of peel back the curtain deep dive with Jenn to maybe talk about the direct strategies, the tactics, the step-by-step she's taken beyond this interview to really talk about like what specifically you've done. And we will talk about that here in just a moment as well. Let me cover some of my other notes. So you had to kind of let go of some people throughout the journey, but also bring some new people into your life that have been able to help you get ahead. That was huge. One thing that I noticed you mentioned too is really making the commitment and the decision to draw that line in the sand and go really all in on this business. Like instead of, you mentioned this before we started the interview today, talking about the difference between the dabbler versus the doer. And instead of dabbling with all these different things or opportunities or information overload, like really making the commitment to be a doer and like put yourself in the right rooms, surround yourself with the right people, get access to the right education, and actually take action on it, which I think is huge. Anything you wanted to add to that?
No, I mean, that's what you have to do in order to keep it. You have to give it away, and if you don't share it and you're not speaking about it, then it can't really resonate in you. And you really do have to just like talk it
Right.
until it really becomes muscle memory. So if people are having struggles with those things, I would say that's probably where the struggle really is that, you're not really talking and sharing it and doing it.
Vulnerability.
Yes.
I love that. Like, I think a lot of us think our problems are all unique and like that we should just keep it all to ourselves. But I think that's honestly a recipe for failure in most cases, to keep all of your stuff in your own head when there's so many people out there who can support you and lift you up rather than pull you down and help you kind of that vulnerability that you're sharing with all of us right now, Jenn, I think is fantastic, right? Like it's amazing. Like so many people who watch this, whether it's on the live or on the replay, are going to really resonate, I think, with that one word that we just mentioned, which is the vulnerability factor. Being vulnerable and sharing what you're going through, what you're struggling with, what your challenges are, also sharing your wins and your ring the bell moments along the way as well is so
Yeah.
crucial to be able to like, get progress happening rather than try to bottle it all up and keep it
Yeah.
all in. Right.
Mhm.
So I love that. I think, what you've been able to accomplish and what you've been able to work towards is so amazing, even through just our time together, which started back in about 2022.
Mhm.
So almost 2 years coming up on, we'll have to do a little celebration here in May on our little anniversary together. But the growth that I've seen from you is just tremendous and amazing. And I think it's awesome and it should be admired for anyone who may be watching. And if Jenn can do it, I know all of you guys can
Yeah.
too, right? And I know she knows that for you as
Yeah.
well, right?
Yeah.
So what would you share
Absolutely.
with someone like who may be struggling right now? Maybe they're feeling like they're in a rut. Maybe they're struggling with debts, loans, or credits, or maybe their business just isn't really where they want it to be right now. And maybe they struggle with those self-worth and, not valuing themselves and things like you mentioned. What would you share to people who may be watching this right now, that can maybe help set them on the right path?
Well, I'm going to tell you, go down to your local chamber and introduce yourself. They're going to be one of your biggest cheerleaders. Um, you need to, this is all about connecting. You're making relationships, and you talk a lot about that, Jordan. So whether it's online or if it's in the flesh, you need to have people who are going to basically like want to support you, cheer you on, who can give you ideas, but just being able to talk to other people who are like-minded, who want to be supportive of small business, that's really important. Also, if there's another, like there's a couple different associations in my area. We're in a historic downtown area where my shop is. So there's also another association there that you could become involved with, like so find out what is going on where your shop is located. And if you have to, as an owner, you need to go down and visit every single owner. They need to know your name. They need to get to know you because when they see you on social media, those people are going to support you there too. It's not just one layer. They're going to support you in multiple layers. So you just need to get yourself out of the funk and um and start doing like just I know it's you're like it's always going to be behind you in the back of your mind, this isn't where I want my business to be, but you just have to ignore that voice. That voice isn't going to tell you anything that's going to help you. You just turn it upside down, and just be like, okay, so yes, that is a truth, and we all live in truth, so that's a truth. However, do what you need to do anyway. So fill your cup with people who can keep filling it, not with people who can empty it.
I love it. I'm going to type that in the chat for everyone, who maybe needs to kind of focus on that ability to do it anyway. Everyone type that in the chat, do it anyway. Ultimately, I think we all have those voices in our head that's like the doubts, the limiting beliefs, like, can I
Mhm.
actually do this? The big question marks,
Yeah.
are you good? Can you actually do this? Like, are you
Mhm.
worthy of achieving this? And like,
Yeah.
I think the most successful people like all struggle with a lot of insecurity issues just as much as you do, I do, Katie does. Like, we all struggle with it. But I think what separates the dabblers versus the doers, or the winners versus the losers, and that's not, meant to come across as like you're a loser if you're not achieving the
Right.
goals that you want. It's
Right.
like just that a lot of us have just been 90% of the world is living paycheck to paycheck. They're not doing, as well as we would maybe hope for
Yeah.
our lives or our economies. And like, um, a lot of us just need to get out of the comfort zone,
Yeah.
like tell those voices to shut the heck up and
Yeah.
do it anyway. And you'll
Yeah.
figure it out as you go,
Yeah.
right? Commit first, figure the rest out later. I know that's something you and I talk
Yeah.
about often.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that, you've been able to do that consistently, even with maybe some cards stacked against you throughout the journey,
Mhm.
right? And
Yeah.
so I think that's amazing. So, Guys, we just talked about how Jenn's been able to come debt free, how she's been able to focus on systems and SOPs in her business to really get the structure that she's needed to make her business valuable to sell. And she's working on completing the sell of her salon right now. But a lot of it was not just like waking up one day and it just happened. You put in all this work behind the scenes that a lot of people don't see. I always say this, like the tip of the iceberg, right? Some of us only see the success on the top, on the mountaintop, but they don't see all the failures that have kind of come underneath.
Yeah.
And I think that's awesome, like that you're open to sharing all of that and the vulnerability that you have while sharing it. You talked a lot about budgeting, a lot about some marketing strategies you've used, really focusing on networking and building connections and relationships. And also how you've been able to find access to, get support in your community through, you said Chamber of Commerce, getting connected, finding opportunities for loans, grants, ways that you can kind of get some basically free help and support for your business to allow it to grow while you're working on yourself, right? While you're building. And I think the key word that I would kind of sum up a lot of what you said is like how to take full responsibility and take control of your life, right? It's like this is the year I would hope for everyone who's here watching this, in whatever time period you're watching it, like let this be the year that you draw that line in the sand. You start taking full responsibility. You start living a life of abundance rather than scarcity, and stop letting things happen to you, but let them happen for you, and let them happen through you as well, right? And so I absolutely love that. So let's cover a couple points, and then we're going to cover questions, which I've got my list here as well. So I want to make sure we hit these bullets we talked about. What is the exact marketing and advertising strategy that you use to grow your following and build your clientele with your dream clients? If you had to give the cliff notes.
So you all know that I was always on Facebook before. But what I appreciated is using my personal profile through your program. You taught me how that I could just make adjustments to my personal profile to make it ready. So that meant my cover, that meant, like that is square footage basically of telling people who I am without even having to scroll down. So I put all of my valuable links to everything about me all within that first glance of my Facebook profile. And so that I never had somebody going, oh, well, I didn't see that, or how do I get a hold of you? I mean, it's there. Like my whole profile is basically a call out, to make a decision.
Right.
I wanted to set myself up, not just as a person, but, in the community, but also as a businesswoman. So my cover, I feel, has been very effective for that. So when I am out and about in social, the social world, I am many times shooting out comments to individuals that show me as a business owner. I don't care if they're selling like some other type of service. I've talked to people who've done decor. I've talked to people who have ran, like dress shops, party things, for weddings. Like, doesn't matter. Photographers, like if there is something and I see it online and they're saying, what about this or what about that? I support them and I make myself known as that and immediately I friend them. So I have my friends, I did not ever want to use my personal profile in the past because I was afraid that my family and friends would have to see all this stuff and their safety would be at risk. But when I began the program, I learned that I could create a category just for those friends that I would build from my connections. And I call it just business connections. So as soon as somebody accepts one of my friends' requests, I automatically assign them to the business connection contact list in my Facebook. And I can speak directly to those people. And if I want to speak to just my family, I can speak to them and I don't have to worry. There's no cross going on. And I really like that. So when I started your program, you were encouraging us to friend like up to 40 people a day. Now that's really hard for me to do because I'm picky. Um, and I do like to look and see who I'm friending. Um, and it was kind of a little bit of, intimidating at first, but you helped me to understand how I could just start with, let's make it easy. Let's just connect. So your let's get
Mm,
connected posts were my first things that I did. I did not make it really hard, and I wasn't always about business. At one time, I went on to one of our popular pages or popular groups, and I just said, let's name an apple or a fruit or a vegetable from A to Z. And I had the funnest game, and everybody was putting down their answers. And you know what? Friend, 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 friend. So that was really nice. And so I got to really get, make a lot of friends that from doing things like that and just connecting, um, going to those talk pages. If I see other people's advertisements, like I would support them, even follow hairstylists. I do not have, I'm not prejudiced. So you're always trying to make a connection. That person, even a stylist, could end up being your stylist one day. So
mhm.
we're in one happy room. We just need to, show that we're not competitive against other stylists from other locations. Like we're just one happy family. So that's how I did it. And um and so then I found out that sooner or later, like went to the 31-day content that you have.
Mhm.
I did that. And it kind of like began the reset for how I was using my profile. Um, and at that point, after that, I started getting like messages to me, not me messaging them first, but them messaging me. And they would ask me, hey, do you have somebody that does this or that? And and so basically I hadn't really said anything to them. They were looking at I mean, they're just as nosy as I am. So they're looking at me, looking at all the links and seeing what I am. And they knew I could get them in touch with someone, at the salon. So that was really refreshing to see. Um, but when you guys came out with the giveaway, that was the best, most impressive, impactful decision I had made with your company, and I encourage everyone to do it because it was a landing page that you guys helped me create, and obviously I was using my boss at that time, and that just basically is a way for when you send somebody to a web page and they're interested in what you have to offer, they fill out obviously their name, their email, their phone number, and you get a message and it says so and so is interested in this. But your system would send them back a message saying thank you, for entering. And I could critique those messages. Like I would say, as a secondary message, I would say, so tell me what made you click on the giveaway? Is it for yourself or for someone else? And then another little message would go out maybe a day later, and it would be something like, so tell me what's your best, like what's the hair color you've always been wanting? My my particular giveaway was a $600 giveaway that was including color, haircut, bonding treatment, other treatments, makeup, and a photo shoot. And I do makeup and I do photos. So the other girls would do the rest. And so you gave me the script for my profile, which I pinned to the top. And it's no longer there because it would continue. It would just continue to go unless I took it off.
That's a good problem to have.
And I had over 800 shares.
That's
Um,
amazing.
and people still see it today. They'll drag it up. I don't know where it's going, but it's but what I had people do was if they signed up for the giveaway, I would talk to them on Facebook because they're getting it from my Facebook. So that means they can be my friend. So obviously, friend you. Then they would tag for additional entries for that month. Some of them tagged 90 to 100 people. I tagged or I friended every single person that I could that Facebook would allow me until I got them all done. And I would have people doing this month after month. And I went from I think 150 friends to I'm like over 1,300 now. Um,
That's awesome.
yeah, they would. Now, I created an event, Facebook event, because on your own personal profile, you can't really see people talking to you while you're having the event. So the event I would create was off-site of mine, but I would invite everybody there and I would tell them all the time, I can't wait to see you then. I hope you come to the reveal. I mean, it was going to be a reveal and then I would have my front desk with me and we were kind of like, um a Laverne and Shirley kind of thing. Now I'm dating myself, but we we were a little team and the people would come on to that on the day of the giveaway announcement and they would be just saying, oh, I'm so excited for everyone, and they're just messaging back and forth and good luck ladies and all this stuff. Well, I would reveal it and then all of a sudden everybody would start going back to my Facebook page and they would begin to tag more people. They wanted to start a new month and they were going to try as many times as they could to win it.
I
So
love
over
it.
the process of me doing this, I had 12. I had a year's worth before I had to stop. And um that was so incredible because I had people coming in off the street, Jordan. They came off the street and they would come over and they knew who I was and they knew who my staff was. And they would say, oh, Jennifer. And I'm like, and I'm looking at them like, I don't know who you are. Um, and
Celebrity.
yeah, and they would just come in and go, oh, you know what, I tried to win your giveaway, but I thought, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and come in and book my services. So they would come in with their friends and book their services, or it might just be for themselves. But we did a lot of like mom and daughter transformations. They would just walk in or call and say, Jenn's, we learned about you through Jenn's giveaway, but we don't want to wait. We just want to go ahead and book it.
That's a
So,
fantastic.
I mean, it was really an incredible experience. Um, but I will tell you, you can't just do it and just let the automations take care of it. You have
Right.
to nurture them. And again, it's social media, it's relationships. And you've often said people don't do business with businesses, they do business with people. So it was always about let me talk, let me talk, let me talk. Um, and I would thank them after it was done. I'd be like, thank you for participating. And maybe next month you'll win. And, if you want to continue to support, keep trying. But one day a lady came in and she's an owner down the street and I never met her. Um, she walked in with the best brownies ever and she was asking for me. And I'm like, yeah, I'm Jenn. And she's like, I just want to thank you with the best brownies I could find for you. And I said, for what? And she goes, because of what you're doing in our community to bring people downtown to shop and I just thought that I ate all those brownies, every one.
That's
I did
awesome.
not share them because, I worked really hard. But I would say that is really a great opportunity for anybody that's watching today is to utilize the giveaway, figure out what you can actually, you know, layer together to bring value. Um, and I know you guys can help them out with that. So hopefully
I love
something
it.
will
Well, Jen just gave, I think, a killer step by step on. I mean, that was exactly what you've done, to build your presence, build your online following. You focus mainly on Facebook, optimizing your Facebook profile and cover photo. You provided recommendations and value to your community. I'm assuming through like local Facebook communities and
Mm-hmm.
groups in your area,
Yeah. Yep.
um, which, let's go ahead. Jen is over delivering right now on what I think we have time to dig all into today. So if you guys want to, if you're getting value from this, for one, throw some hearts down below, and give a big thank you to Jen, but also give a type hashtag Jen down below because what we're gonna do. How many of you guys would like to see like how Jen optimized her profile, what community she got connected in? How she started to establish that online following, that presence that, gave her kind of almost celebrity status where people are recognizing her without ever them making a connection. They see what you're doing online, they get connected to you, they see all of this value you're providing to your community, and they're attracted magnetically to that and recognizing you, referring you, they're giving you brownies, all kinds of
Yeah.
stuff, right?
Yeah.
Um, and
Yeah.
if you guys want to see the step by step, maybe the behind the scenes, the literally even screenshots of those things, type hashtag Jen down below in the chat. And we will put together a little mini class or master class with the people who comment that down below, so we can kind of show you what that all looks like. But focusing on not just focusing on only trying to get business or sell your crap, but building like real connections in your community with like let's get connected style frames of posts and connections that you're making. You're adding friends to your profile, which is increasing your online presence and people actually see your posts. You said you went through the 31 days of content
Mhm.
challenge of
Yep.
posting consistently every day for 30 days. If you guys want to get access to all that stuff that Jen's done, type hashtag Jen down below. But one thing that you also mentioned was the giveaway funnel and giveaway strategy that you used as well, which kind of, it sounds like,
Mhm.
was a big root anchor for all of this to get the
Right.
momentum that you were looking
Right.
for.
And
If you
that's
guys want,
free. That's absolutely free
yeah,
because, like, some of you that might be watching may not have a lot of cash because of your situation. So, I not only did I share it on my own profile, but I shared it on all these groups as well.
yeah,
I and I became a admin on like many groups locally. And so then I was able to pin it to them as well. So like I was trying to maximize, my efforts as much as possible. Um, I think it probably brought me more customers than any paid ad I've ever done.
I love it. If you guys want to see that strategy, type hashtag giveaway. We can maybe even drop one of the mini trainings we have on how to piece that all together. And if you're cool with it, Jen, maybe we'll dive deeper into it on the next class we do together.
Yeah, sure.
All right. So if you guys want to see that, type hashtag Jen, type hashtag giveaway. We'll make sure you get all of that. Jen, with the time we've got left, let's go ahead and answer some questions for everyone, and go from there. So if you guys have a question, this is last call for questions for Jen. Let's rapid fire through them, cover them all, and then we'll tell you guys how to get access to today's interview replay, the bonuses we just mentioned, and the class that we'll put together next with Jen, kind of going behind the scenes. So first question I've got is from Melody. How long have Jen's stylist been with her in her business?
Well, I started hiring stylists in 2011, and I had I have one that's still with me. So I believe she's like 12 years now. Right after COVID, when one of them went along to another business, and she had been with me for 10 years. And then about a year and a half later, one more that I had went off. So I had her for 9. So the most of the team I have right now came after COVID. Like I
Okay.
have one that's 8. My nail tech is like 9 years. Um, but the other providers, like one I just hired last, two I hired last year, and one I hired in 20, I think it was 20, yeah, 2020. So I mean, I have a lot of variety. Most of them are new.
I love it. You know, and you said one of your team members has been with you for 15 years, which shows the type of dedication you put into
Yeah.
your team. And you know,
Yeah.
that's a lot of us in our work in our business, we spend sometimes more time with our clients or our team members if we have one, you know, than our own family members. And
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah.
you know, it's very important you don't just keep business transactional, you keep it transformational, right? For
Yeah.
your clients and for your team and for your staff.
Yeah.
And like you said, you know, really focus on building relationships. Again, you nailed it on the head there. People don't do business with, you know, you, your services, your logo, your brand. They do business with you. People do business with people, right? And so to really create those personal connections with everyone in your area and specifically the people, you know, that you're investing into, they're investing into you to grow this business and
Mhm.
serve the community at the highest level together is huge, right? So that's awesome. Melody also asks, are your stylist employees? Are they commission based or are they team based? How do you kind of structure your compensation for your team?
Thanks, Melody. My salon has always been commission based. Um, and I had a few reasons for that. In Ohio, um, I have the law states that if they're sitting waiting, I have to provide hourly pay for them. And so I had to make sure that I structured it in a way that it was going to be easier for me to keep track of my numbers. And it includes the tips, so the tips go through payroll. So that way they are all getting, what is it, their 1099s or whatever that is, W-2s or something. I don't get them.
I love it. Um, Melody did kind of mention this question during you talking about maybe, you know, along the journey, you've had to let some people go, you've had to attract new people into your life. Is there any recommendations or thoughts that you maybe would have on, um, you know, maybe having to let some people go throughout your journey? What does that conversation look like? Why did you make those decisions? And how would you recommend people to make those decisions when it comes to hiring versus firing or both?
Well, first, you really have to ask a lot of questions, and um, I try to assess first the kind of values that they have in their life, because I can test their hair skills out, their nail skills out, but it's really difficult to test their personality. Are they somebody that is going to be aggressive, demanding, disrespectful versus somebody that is going, to show respect, show up, be professional, even if they're having a bad hair day. So I let them know right away that this is going to be a 90-day, up to a 90-day um, opportunity where I will be doing regular coaching with them. I had to let somebody go the very first day. And because I had let them know that we do coaching, and um, I had let her know how I do coaching. And the very first day, um, she showed me her social media, and it was it needed some help, and she would not even accept it. And
Mm,
she had such an attitude. And, I'm not going to come to work and have to, build the walls back up when somebody can just be like this. So I was like, I told her, like, this isn't going to work. So I would have probably felt bad in the past and said, I'll have to keep her for 2 weeks. But
yeah,
no, no.
that's
Um,
huge.
yeah. And I recently had to let go of a front desk. And it's because like I put them through a fierce front desk training. So I don't know, is it Melody?
Yeah, that was Melody.
Melody, yeah. So you might consider having a program. I have a video program that I call Fierce Front Desk, and it basically helps them to understand, like, from the minute they walk in, what their attitude is and how professionally I want things done, and how I want them to be serving others. And I can usually tell if they don't get that done, because it's like not even an hour's worth of training. They can't do it in a week. Ain't gonna happen. So um I had to let somebody go. You know, we're not in the business of wasting our revenue, and that revenue pays for other people that you hired. And because of minimum wage going up and because of cost of living, you want to be able to pay your good workers more money than they used to be paid. So
100%.
I ain't wasting it on nobody.
I love
So
that.
just make sure you have your questions ready to go, and a lot of them are things like, what would you do, and how have you gotten paid? If they start saying to me they got paid under the table, that they're out. So I won't hire anybody like that.
You got to protect your circle, right? I
Yeah.
mean, what's the quote? We are, the um, equal of the top five people around us, or
Hmm.
whatnot. Like that includes, the people you spend your time with, clients and team
Yeah.
members included. You got to be very protective
Yeah.
of that circle in that
Right.
space.
Where they're going to get a key and they can come in, and it's like you don't want somebody to take advantage of you, because it's not just you, it's the people that work
Right.
for you. So yeah, so I kind of shifted. There's a lot of books that can help too, um, that can help you to gain questions that you might ask during an interview. I collected quite a bit of resources. So I usually go and remind myself of some of those things before I have an actual interview set.
I think that's awesome. Maybe one thing we could do on the Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Sorry. I was gonna say on the masterclass, sorry for the delay there, guys. Maybe we could put together a book list for everyone so that they can kind of see which books have helped you out throughout your journey. If you guys would like access to that type book list down below in the chat, we can maybe queue that up in the masterclass. I love it. A couple more questions I've got here. How did you, and we can hit these rapid fire and then we could go deeper on our next session together, which if you guys just popped in, type hashtag Jenn and you'll get access to the invite to the masterclass we'll do behind the scenes with Jenn. How did you integrate RBB program and what you have been working on, to grow your business, grow your following, grow your social status and whatnot? How did you integrate that with your employees and your team? And this, I guess, could apply to anything in and outside of
Yeah.
RBB or Ribbity Bosses, like
Yeah.
anything that you've learned yourself. How do you transfer that to your team and staff?
Again, I do coaching, and I find that it's good to either have a group coaching session. We do huddles every day. So I only take about 8 to 10 minutes for our huddles. So we start our day, usually trying to be social, and then I will give them either videos. I have a huge video library for them. I give them content information. I have that personal training one-on-one with them. Everyone's on their own. One of my youngest, though, she is knocking it out of the park with Let's Get Connected. She has like some really crazy but effective ways to get people talking. So we share those things. So I tell them, if something you did works, we have an education page on Facebook that we share. I advise everybody to have something like that, and then I'll have them post what worked. They'll show their um their they'll do a copy of it, screen share it, so everybody understands like what they did.
I love that.
So between the library that I've created and my video content, plus I have printed content, I manage to help them to understand. But inside of my calendar is where I took a lot of my RBB automation scripts, and I've utilized the way that Katie does her emails into my emails. so that like I can just tweak them up and make them mine. Never thought I would ever have a black and white text only message email go out, but they get 20% open rates. And it's,
Yeah.
I mean, I can't believe it. But yeah, so I have automations and I have anybody that I utilized that I got through the giveaways. I put them on special type of, automations so that I am continuing to drip, even past since I can't be on your program, I mean, I'm selling. So um I'm trying to utilize everything I can.
I love that. That's awesome. Rena just said, your employees are so lucky to work at your place.
Oh, thank
I
you.
think everyone's feeling the love and passion that you give to your community and your team and your staff. And
Oh,
I love that, right? It's all about give, 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 right? Give to
yeah,
yourself first, and then you can give to others, right? Like if you
yeah,
didn't invest in yourself, not just resource or financial wise, but just time and energy and passion into growing yourself, it'd be
right,
very hard to replicate that to your team and staff. And I
right,
think that's a false expectation in the industry is that
yeah,
people are just going to come in and perform. And
yeah,
that's the opposite of reality. We have to
yeah,
build people up the way that we've built ourselves, and we have to
right,
inspect what we expect from our team. And
yeah,
everything in your business is a reflection and a mirror of you, right?
exactly,
So I love
exactly.
that. A few more questions we've got. Ginger was curious. We talked about commission or 1099. You said you're commission based salon. And she also asked just like profitability wise, like 30,000, is that gross or net? Obviously that's total revenue. But what's been like one of your most profitable months, like percentage wise, if you wouldn't mind sharing?
Well, I would say, I mean, this past November, um, was because I mean, it's right at the end of the year, and I had made a goal that, I needed to simplify more, streamline. Um, I'm utilizing my anybody now that is my service providers. I kind of got rid of my front desk, and I just have a manager that oversees it. And so if they aren't busy in the chair, they're going to be busy doing what I need for my front desk. So my profitability definitely went up. I'll be honest, I'm still looking at like my bookkeeper getting all of the stuff in.
Mm-hmm.
She's off site, so I have a little lag in all that. But I will tell you that in my business experience, I would say that um, I am looking at probably as an overall yearly, it's going to be probably between 10 and 15% based on revenue because of all the expenses. Um, and that is not like, I know it sounds a little scary, but just imagine if you were a grocery store, 5%, you'd be happy. This is
Right.
a higher, it takes a lot more money to run your salon. And we do measurement on product. So we just increased our product price or our service prices again. They went up tremendously this past winter. And I that is one of the things you have to keep up with. Because if you're not, I give myself a 7% back bar um, repurchase. So that means like if I sold $1,000 in services, um, I'm only going to get 7% to put back in my back bar. Some companies they'll say 4 to 7%, but I find 7% is a good amount. And by keeping those budgets down, like keeping it proper, like I'm keeping more of that money in my pocket. So I think that I'm going to make a lot more money this past year in 23 because of the revenue coming down, like or expenses coming down.
I love that.
So,
That's a great
you
answer. And
know,
I think this is something we can dive much deeper into on our next conversation too. Just like How do you kind of manage that? What do maybe the average numbers look like, especially from all your experiences and all of the, coaching and
Mhm.
mentorship you've gotten along the way? Just like
Mhm.
what do you focus on when it comes to profit and loss and all of that? I do think like a lot of people are so concerned about that very early in their journey. And I think what is key, number one, I think, is to focus on, this is my perspective. Maybe you can kind of chime in on this as well, but clients and cash flow is like priority number one. And if you have that under control, like get the revenue growing, get to 10, 25, 30,000, 50,000, $100,000 a month, then you can kind of figure out how to pull those profit levers
Yeah,
or, cut expense and stuff as you go. I don't think it's like prepare the perfect plan and then it starts to grow. It's like go and grow and try to, move the
yeah.
boat and then kind of calibrate and refine as you go. Is that kind of been the case for you?
Yeah, and you can always go and search the industry ratio benchmarks for the average salon in the United States. Um, I have that, and I have like a little income, like it's a yearly income tracker where I put all, after I do all of my stuff, I put all the numbers in. And if I see like an increase where my um, expenses for hourly people are, and it looks a little higher than normal, but then I can look at another line and it's maybe I'm seeing things like my my back bar was a little under what I could have spent. You see, those are variables that are difficult to like pinpoint, and they can change, they can flip based on economy and customer count, customer services, taxable services versus non-taxable. So you have to understand, you have to spend a little time understanding those variables so that you know that in your area for the salon you want to be, that you're staying above the number. So you'll have to go, and that's where I'm like, that's a worthwhile investment of time.
100%. I think we could probably do a whole deep dive on just that topic, right? So
Don't
I
do
I
that with
love that.
me. I'm not an
Yeah.
expert.
No, I appreciate you sharing all that. Again, throw Jenn some hearts her way for sharing all this with you guys. Like the vulnerability here is like incredible. Like we're going way over time because I think we want to provide the most value to all of you guys in your journey, depending on where you're at. And I guarantee and promise you, like if you guys go back and listen to this, a second time, maybe even a third time, and I'll give you guys all the recording who type hashtag Jenn down below. There's so much you can pull from here on little tips and tricks and things that you can do like right now to get your cash flow under control, get your expenses down, get momentum going in your business. And the harsh reality and truth is like a lot of us are trying to perfect the perfect plan before we even just get started.
Yeah.
And you've got to be willing to like move forward, take imperfect action, get the boat moving, and then calibrate as you go if you want to really be able to get the progress and momentum that you're looking for,
Yeah.
as Jenn has done to be able to get her business to this point consistently, which
Yeah.
the key word is consistency. You
Yeah.
haven't just hit $30,000 a month once or twice. It's been like multiple months,
Right.
row. And
Right.
with trying to create your business as an asset to sell, your business has to be valuable. And
Yes.
most of us, let's be honest, at least from the average earnings in the industry, which are at the poverty line in the
Yes.
industry, by the way, um, most of us don't have a business that's valuable. Why would anyone want to buy it? Why would anyone like we just have a glorified job working for ourselves with little to nothing to show for all of our hard work and effort. And that needs to change in this industry,
It
right?
does. It does.
And
I think it's pretty sad that, I get really anxious, I get really upset at clients who want to cheapen as they walk, they drive and park their big cars, and they come in and they want to have this $25 balayage, and it comes down to the valuing. And I
mm,
think that that's part of the problem with pricing, because you might have, like, I separate my pricing, like this is a whole different conversation, but I separate my styling from my cut and blow dry. And it took a long time for my stylist to basically understand what I was doing, but they were giving away half of their service. And it comes down to like, are you going to be able to make it? And it could be the money is inside the style.
Right.
And something so small as a style, but if time, you said we monetize time. So time is the problem. If we don't monetize the time, what do we want to make? So my makeup artistry, I put down 125 an hour. So I'm not going to go out and come back and not get what I want and need. I'll make sure the value is there. So if you're having a problem with your revenue, you need to look at your services and you need to monetize your time, and you need numbers have to make sense.
Right.
Makes sense. If you say to yourself, well, if everyone in your team, I would like you to sell $50 this week in retail products, but yet your weekly goal that you have to have is 1,000, like you're not going to get 1,000, you're going to get 350, 400. So you're not going to make that revenue. So it all comes down to like things have to make sense. Your numbers have to make sense to your system.
100%. Everyone drop know your numbers down below in the chat. One thing we often talk about, and I know we've talked about personally, Jenn, is like, if you don't know your numbers in business, you won't be in business for long. That's something one of my mentors and coaches taught me long ago that's always stuck with me. And it's always where I find myself winning or losing or succeeding or not is knowing those numbers, how to control them, how to move them, how to like really take full responsibility over what's happening in my business, how I am valuing my time based off of numbers and data, not emotions or feelings, and being able to really make sure you're providing the most amount of value in exchange for the most amount of money in return for your clients as the business will grow. So, Jenn, this was an amazing experience hanging out with you here today. I would love to hang out here for the whole rest of the day if we could, but I think the best next step is to make sure that if you guys got value out of everything we talked about today, I would love to hear either in the comments or in the group today, if you want to post it, what was your number one takeaway today chatting with Jenn? I've been looking at your guys' comments this whole time we've been chatting, and I love the feedback that we're getting, like hearing what some of you guys are resonating with. The more we kind of hear and Jenn and I are hoping to do some, cool stuff together here in the future in the community, like more classes, maybe more interviews and stuff like this. Like I personally, Jenn as well, like we, after going through the journey ourselves, there's nothing more that I personally want to do than to give back to people, as well, to learn from those mistakes, those failures, and help them get ahead in their life or their business so that we can flip the script and change the pattern that has been kind of the trend of the industry, which is, cost, expenses, and inflation going up, but the industry earnings are just staying the same, if not going down, right? And we have to do something about it. And it starts with all of us making that decision to draw that line in the sand, take full responsibility, and surround ourselves with the right people, which is hopefully what all of you guys have kind of realized here today is like, you're in the right room right now. If you're here watching this interview, surround yourself with people like Jenn, people like you see in the chat or the comments of the community here. Like that's what you need to raise that belief scale that you are worthy and capable of achieving so much more than I think a lot of us give ourselves credit for. So Jenn, for one, thank you so much for being here today. And this was invaluable. I love it. I can't wait to send you the recording so we can kind of watch it together. But any final notes or words of motivation, encouragement, anything that you'd want to share with anyone here today that you feel may help them, walking away from this and being able to actually, take this feeling of maybe momentum or energy or inspiration and actually go make some shit happen in their life or their business. What would you recommend to someone who may be watching who's ready for a boost?
Well, I'm going to say one of the things I always tell people, there's never going to be a time in your life when all the lights will be green on the highway. So don't let any detour stop you. Plan your work and work that plan, and let tomorrow be a reset day. And there isn't, there's no law that says you can't reset every week until you find what works for you. And that's what I would say.
I love it. Well, Jenn, thank you so much. I'm excited for our maybe part two, going deeper into all this. We'll get in touch on that and chat
Sounds
more
good.
about it. But guys, thank you guys so much for attending here and staying with us. For those who have been here the whole time, would love to hear you guys introduce yourself into the community. Share your biggest takeaways, share the wins that you're having, and hopefully maybe
Mhm.
here soon enough, maybe you're having a conversation with me, a conversation with Jenn, or maybe you're going to be the next one in the seat to get interviewed here, so we can all make the industry a better, more beautiful, more powerful place, and actually, use our business as a vehicle to achieve the dream, the lifestyle, and the freedom that we all deserve. So, Jenn, thank you so much.
You're
And for
welcome.
everyone else, we'll see you guys in the group. We'll talk to you guys soon.
Bye.
Talk to you soon, Jenn.
Bye.
Bye bye.